In this video, I will review the problems that were presented as examples in the reading summary so that you can check your work.
So for example 1, determine the mean, median, mode, and mid-range of a set of numbers. Pretty simple calculations, really. The mean is the same thing as an average, and most everybody knows how to take an average. You add all the numbers together, and you divide by the total number there are. So for the mean, I'm just going to add all these numbers together, and there's 15 numbers down here, so I'll divide by 15, which is 262 over 15, which is about 17.467 if you round to the 3 decimal places. Now for the median, mode, and mid-range, it's best to have the numbers written in order because the median is you're looking for the number that falls in the middle of your group. For the mode, you're looking for the most frequent. If you're putting them in order, you could tell if there's any one occurring with more frequency than others. In the mid range is a calculation that requires you to know the minimum and the maximum, and so putting them in order will help you with that as well. So I'm going to put them in order. So these are the same numbers written in ascending order. And there's 15 of them. So when I have an odd number of values and I want to find the median, I'm going to take the number there are, I'm going to divide by 2, I get 7.5. When it comes out to be something like, a 0.5, I just round up to 8. So the number in the 8th position is the median. So I'm going to count off the 8th term, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the median. So in this case here, the median is 17. The mode, so look at this, I can see that, I have numbers occurring I have 14 occurring more than once, 17 occurs 3 times, and because that's occurring, more times than the 14 is, this is the mode, 17. If they were occurring at the same amount, then they would both be modes. Now for the mid-range, it's the minimum and it's basically I'm going to do a formula where I average the minimum and the maximum. That's what the mid-range is. So if I add those two together, divide by 2, that's 19. And so since these values are somewhat close together, it means that, they're pretty well distributed. When I get like, a situation where the mean is much different from the rest of these, um, in the mid-range ends up being vastly affected. That means we probably have an outlier or an extreme value that's either pulling up the data values or pulling down the data values. So next one, again, these list of numbers. For me to find the mean, I'm just going to add them all together. The sum is 1186. There's 16 numbers in that list, and so that comes to be 74.125. Now again, the median, mode, and mid-range, I need to have these listed in order, so I listed them in order. Now, this one has 16 numbers in it. And when I take 16 and divide it by 2, I get 8 evenly. And that's usually what I'm doing to find the median. Well, since that means I'm going to get this exactly, that means I'm going to be able to split this into 2 equal halves of 8. The median is, I don't really have a number that's listed that is the median. The median would occur halfway between these two. And so if I do this calculation and get an integer, that means I'm going to look at the 8th term and the 9th term. So that term, whatever that number is, and the one that's next up, and I'm going to average them. So I'm going to count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the 8th and 9th term. If I average those together, I get 76. So the median is 76. The mode, although it looks like I'm doing the mid-range right now. I have the circles there, but the mode, I can see 75 does occur frequently. There's really nothing else that's repeating at all. So that would be the one and only mode. And of course, that's the minimum, that's the maximum. If I average those together, I get the mid-range, which is 52.5. So this is kind of telling me, because these still aren't very much different, but it does tell me because the mid-range doesn't really relate to these as much. I look at these mainly to see like how well the data is distributed. The mid-range is just basically telling me um, It's kind of a measure of spread more than anything. For part C, again, I'm going to total these numbers up and get a sum of 1011. And there's 18 of them, so 1011 divided by 18 is 56.16 repeating, so about 56.167. The median, I had to put them in order. And as I look at them in order, I mean, there are 18, so if I divide 18 by 2, I get 9, which means that I want to look at the 9th and 10th terms for the median. And these are the 9th and 10th terms, so if I average those together, 59 plus 62 over 2, I get about 60.5. That is the median. This mode actually has 2 modes, because when I look at the frequencies here, 30 and 80 occur at the same frequency. If there was another number that occurred 5 times, then that would be the one and only mode. Since these are both occurring 4 times and there's no other numbers that repeat more than that, then both of these are the mode. So the 2 modes, the smaller one's 30, the larger one is 80. And of course the mid-range, the 30 and 80 also have to be the min and maximum. And when I average those together, I get 55. So there you have that. For example 2, these living expenses, you have Bob's monthly living expenses for 1 year, so there's 12 readings here. Determine to the nearest, it should be cent as in C, not S, but I'm a math teacher, not good at spelling necessarily. I want to calculate these things down here to the nearest cent, so C-E-N-T. So again, the mean, I'm going to add these up first. There's $17,110 here. Divide that by 12. I get about $1,425.83. So I put that there. Now the median, I want to have this listed in order. So there's the money listed in order. Again, I have an even number of these. So if I divide 12 by 2, I get 6, which means that the 6th and 7th term, the average of that should be the median. And so I'm going to average 1430 and 1450. When I do that, I get 1440. So $1,440 is the median. The mode, there's no number that's occurring with any frequency more than 1. So there is no mode. Well, no, take that back. I just noticed it now, and I noticed it before. But 1050 is occurring twice. That is the mode. The mid-range, I'm going to average the maximum and minimum, which is going to be 1050 plus 2000 divided by 2, which is 1525. Quartiles. These are basically medians of the first half and the second half. So basically, Q1 is going to be the median of this first half right here, of which there's 6. So much like I did for the median, there's 6 numbers here. If I take 6 divided by 2, I'm going to get 3. So I'm going to get 3. So Q1 is going to be the mean of the 3rd and 4th term. Q3, they're going to have 6 here. It's going to be the 3rd and 4th term here, or basically the 7th, 8th, 9th, the 9th and 10th terms here. So I'm going to average these 2 to get Q1. I'm going to average these 2 to get Q3. That average is 1,150. This average is $1,585. So, for example 3, a mean average of 80 or greater for 5 exams is needed for a final grade of B in the course. Jorge's first 4 exam grades are 73, 69, 85, and 80. What does Jorge need for a 5th exam to get a B in the course? So we want the average to be 80. We want the mean to be 80. That means I'm going to take these 4 scores I have plus an unknown score and divide them by 5, and it should end up being 80. So 73 plus 69 plus 85 plus 80 plus x, which is the unknown one, all divided by 5 needs to be equal to 80. So I multiply both sides by 5, and these 4 numbers total 307. So x plus 307 equals 400, which means x is going to be 400 minus 307, which is a 93. So with the scores that he currently has, he must score at least 93 on the 5th exam to get a B in the course. for this one here. The Taylors have recorded their weekly grocery expenses for the past 12 weeks and determined that the mean weekly expense was $85.20. Later, Mrs. Taylor discovered that 1 week's expense of $74 was incorrectly recorded as 47. What is the correct mean? So the incorrect mean is $85.20, which means that's equal to an incorrect sum over 12. So that sum had to be $1,022.40. Now, this basically what's going on here. There were 11 weeks. The answer, the numbers were correct, and there's that 47 that was not supposed to be there. So those numbers, which I don't know what they are, and I don't need to know what those numbers are. I'm just going to call them S11. S11 plus 47 is 1,022. So I want to take away that 47. So the sum of the 11 correct entries was 975.40. Now, the correct sum is going to be that S11 now plus 74, which is going to be $1,049.40. And now the mean is going to be that number divided by 12, which is $87.45. And so for this example, which is the only example you were asked to really do in 12.4, deals with calculating the range and the standard deviation. The range is pretty straightforward and somewhat easy. Once you have the numbers listed in order and are able to tell what the minimum and maximum are, I'm just going to subtract the two. So 80 minus 25 is the range, which is 55. So it's a measure of spread. Mid-range was included in central tendency as well, but I think it's kind of more of a measure of spread myself. So now as we get to standard deviation, for me to do the standard deviation, I need to calculate what the mean is first. So I'm going to average these, sum these together. I'm going to get 361. There are 9 of them, so 40.1 repeating is the mean. Now what I have to do is take each one of these scores, the 25, 30, 33, and so on, and I'm going to subtract the mean from them. So I'm going to take each one of these scores, subtract the mean from them, and these are the values I get, and then I'm going to square those. Now when I add all these together, I get 3,040.8. Repeating. Now this is what we would call the variance. The variance is basically, I'll take that back. That's part of the variance. That's the sum. Now the variance would be me taking this and dividing it by, again, 1 minus the number. So the square root of this over 8 is equal to the square root of that is the standard deviation by the formula. And so 19.50 or 19.5 is what the standard deviation is for this. So the really difficult part about the standard deviation calculation is that it is a bit time consuming because you have to take each individual score, subtract the mean from it, square it, total it, divide one less than the total number of items, and then square root it. So there's a lot of individual steps to go into it, but none of them individually are very complicated.
And that is the end of this video. If you have any further questions, please make sure to reach out and ask me about it. Until next time, have a good day.